Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are going to be talking about episode 7 of Invincible, and just wow, I absolutely adore this show, and this show has been blowing up on my channel with my review, so thanks guys for watching these videos. I really enjoy watching this show and making these videos on it and talking about it with you guys, because your fan base for Invincible has been absolutely wonderful. So we're just going to jump right into that, but before we do, I just want to mention that we have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out, the season finale later tonight, which I will have a review up right after this one. I'll have this one uploaded, and maybe like an hour or two later I'll have my Falcon and Winter Soldier review. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this one and comment down below if you're excited for that one and what you thought of this episode. I also have a video ranking every single Oscar Best Picture nominated movie that I just uploaded yesterday, which was a lot of fun to make as well. If you're a fan of just movies in general, I think that is a good one to watch, because I give a lot of good recommendations in ranking those movies of which ones you should see. And so that will be just my little spiel at the beginning of this, but we're going to jump into spoilers for Invincible episode 7, which again, I say this pretty much every single week. This might be my favorite episode yet. The first thing I want to talk about is Debbie Grayson, because she has been an extremely interesting character, and her, trying to investigate and solve after the banishment of Damien Darkblood, her taking up that investigation from his notepad of trying to discover why Omni-Man has killed the Guardians of the Globe, and her confronting him about it in the ending of last episode. This has been building up to what we see in this episode, and you get to see more of Omni-Man really struggle with the fact that now everybody is going to know at this point. Now Debbie knows, she's trying to tell Mark, she's trying to get to Mark and let him know all these things, and he wants to get to Mark beforehand because he wants to explain it in his own twisted way. However, in the world he's going to explain it. And you also have the Walton Goggins character trying to also find Mark and get him out of there, and trying to do all these things to prevent Omni-Man from getting to him, because he needs to stop Omni-Man, and the best chance at that is probably going to be Mark, which is just absolutely heartbreaking. And so this relationship between Debbie and Omni-Man has been extremely interesting, especially at this point, because that trust that has been built up for 20 plus years of their relationship has now just completely crumbled and is gone. However, even with, Cecil trying to get Omni-Man attacked and defeated and trying to lure in Mark to get Mark to be on their side, Debbie is still struggling and terrified of seeing all these things being thrown at Omni-Man, which he just completely knocks to the side, because you get a point towards the end of the episode where Omni-Man is flying off to get to Mark because he has gone off to talk to Eve, and he's going there, and they are trying everything in their power to slow him down, because they can't stop him. They just need to prevent him from getting to Mark before they do. And so this entire section is just a race against time, which is extremely thrilling. They have a satellite beam him with a laser. They have, the cyborgs from a few episodes ago, which comes back, or I think it was literally last episode, the cyborgs come back immediately, which I thought maybe that was kind of a thing that they're going to set up for the future, but no, they brought it back immediately. And having these cyborgs, because they brought, Invincible to, the brink of death, not really to the brink of death, but they really, fought against him. So they thought, maybe if I get 3 of these cyborgs, it's going to slow Omni-Man down. And it did slow him down for a little while, but of course he rips them in half and completely obliterates them. And then he keeps on going. He's going towards Mark once again, and they send out this gigantic monster that apparently Omni-Man fought and defeated a few months ago. And even Cecil says, I injected this thing with all the enhancements that he possibly could have, because he knew this situation was coming. He knew that he had to get Omni-Man, at least slow him down or possibly defeat him in some way. And this monster almost does it before Mark shows up and starts helping and teaming up with Omni-Man without the knowledge of everything that Debbie has discovered, with everything that Cecil has discovered, and all this, threatening aspects of this character that, Mark is just not aware of. And so this continues just the extremely, extremely powerful and interesting, family dynamic between those 3 characters, because you had that talk with Debbie and Mark in the first episode, and then when, Mark was deciding whether or not he wanted to help Mahershala Ali's character, Payton, in that one episode, and those little conversations that they had here and there on the philosophy of being a hero from Debbie's point of view, to the twisted philosophy of being a hero from Omni-Man's point of view, and this dynamic between all 3 of them, and how Mark really looked up to his dad for the longest time, and how is he going to react to the truth. And that is just going to be devastating for a character standpoint for Mark, because like I said, throughout all 7 episodes of this show, that relationship, that family dynamic between all three of them has been building up to a point where it's just going to explode in the finale. And this was, in a lot of ways, the breaking point for a lot of the characters. And yes, I wanted to talk about that right off the bat because it was just incredible. And I'll get back to that situation in a moment when it comes to Mark. But I want to go back a little bit to also the beginning of the episode when you have the entire situation unravel with Mark and, of course, Amber, which this entire situation has been breaking my heart for the past few episodes. And they did something that I gotta stop being surprised by certain things that this show does, because they end up pulling the rug out from under you every single chance that they get, continuing to be completely unpredictable. And the fact that Amber knew that he was invincible, that he was a superhero for several weeks, apparently, is what she says, or several months or something like that. And that is just like, of course she knew, because, you know, secret identities in superhero movies and shows have always been kind of iffy for me, especially the Lois Lane and Clark Kent type of thing. Like, how does Lois Lane not know that it is Superman because of like a pair of glasses? And the 1979 movie does a decent job at explaining that, but I've never really bought that. And even when you have William discover it in the last episode, in that moment where he sees him, of course he's going to recognize him. And then obviously Amber is going to know this because of the times that he was gone, because of, you know, the ways that Eve was trying to give him excuses for being gone. It just makes sense. But what I loved most about this, you know, pulling the rug out from underneath the character, was a lot of times in superhero movies when a character, you know, reveals their secret identity and that relationship between the hero and the love interest has become like close to its breaking point, then that reveal, that's, you know, telling the truth and finally letting them in, is what saves the relationship and they're all okay. This happens in Spider-Man 2. This happens in like even sort of The Dark Knight, but even Rachel doesn't really want anything to do with him, which is pretty funny. But most superhero storylines do this, and Amber straight up says, no, you've been lying to me. This entire time you've been lying to me. And even William says, yes, you've been a terrible boyfriend. And the way that they talk in the car scene is extremely, extremely funny, even though it's heartbreaking for Mark, because he's been terrible in this relationship in almost every single way. And it really affected it. And there's really no going back. And I honestly think that this relationship will probably be done for a while, and it's just, again, I've loved the buildup of their relationship within the first like 4 episodes, but as soon as it started to kind of crumble apart, that has been heartbreaking ever since that started happening. And even when Mark goes to Eve in her little treehouse world, and her, you know, her philosophy on also being a hero, and having that conversation with Mark of, you know, she's saved more people doing what she's doing now than she did before being a part of the T-team. And so now they're having this other conversation. She's like, yeah, you've been terrible to Amber. You've been awful to her. And that's just, it's really hammering home. And Mark has really, you know, hit the lowest point, and he's about to hit by a lower point because of that entire situation with his father, which I guess going back to that, I want to give my little predictions and my thoughts on how Mark is going to react to all this, because, you know, like I said, he flew in, he helped fight the monster, you know, he's getting beat up for a while, but he's able to take it down by himself, which kind of proves that maybe he has a chance at possibly defeating Omni-Man. But you have the whole storyline where you have, I think his name is Immortal, is brought back to life by the MAULER twins, and he just goes straight for Omni-Man. Just right away, as soon as he's revived back to life, he goes straight there and is going for revenge, and just full vengeance, anger and terror in his eyes, going straight towards him. And this fight was intense because you just had the whole thing with the monster, and now you have Omni-Man versus Immortal take 2. And I really hope this is a running thing in the entire series in the comic, of Immortal just keep on being brought back to life, because, I mean, he's named Immortal for one, and he died in the first episode, but now, of course, he's back, and then he dies again in this episode, and that fight was just terrifying. But going back to Mark, he watches Omni-Man rip him in half, and that was just like, how do you explain that if you're Omni-Man? And what really scares me about this situation is Omni-Man thinks, and he truly believes, that he can get Mark on his side. So we still don't know quite the reason why Omni-Man has been the way that he has been, why he killed the Guardians of the Globe, why he said that he had to, that he was forced to. He definitely was not mind controlled. He was not being forced to do it. He's not being blackmailed or anything like that. It has something to do with his home world and the reason why he came to Earth in the first place. And I do strongly believe that his wife was not a part of the plan, and how much he cared for his family was not a part of the plan. And I'm still sticking with the idea that, you know, when he left his home world, he came to Earth, he was supposed to have a son to take over this planet or whatever they're going to do, and then he was going to leave off to another world, and his son is supposed to essentially cover this world while he goes off to another one. I think that's what they're doing. I think that is what the storyline is. But again, I have not been able to predict a single thing in this show, because even with the whole robot reveal, which I have been avoiding talking about robots for the entirety of my reviews because I wanted to see where it was going, and we finally got to see that in this episode. And this was a very fun storyline because, you know, you thought he was some sort of villain or doing some sort of, you know, maniacal things, the way that the show kind of portrayed him, you know, sneaking in the shadows, helping the MAULER twins escape from prison, and he just wanted to get a new body. He wanted to, you know, just be normal, a kid again, and putting himself in a younger teenage body because he likes Monster Girl. And that is a very interesting relationship, the way that you've seen him, you know, pour out his life and his heart to try to save her in the past few episodes, and now everything makes sense. So he has the MAULER twins, you know, make this chamber to grow out the body, the DNA taken from, of course, Rexplode, which his reaction to when, you know, the new robot walks out, or I guess, what's his name? Rudy is his name, and when he walks out and meets the Guardians of the Globe with his true new body form, and Rexplode has that reaction to seeing a younger version of himself, essentially ruining his childhood because he sees that he did all this to get to Monster Girl, and her reaction to it is also very funny. And then their kind of connection when they're seeing the terror that's happening with Omni-Man, and they, you know, she grabs his hand, and that moment for Robot, this arc that he's had throughout the entire show, is a very sweet and uplifting storyline, which I am honestly, again, I'm completely shocked by. I would have never guessed that is where they were going with this character. And the fact that he was just genuinely doing it out of a care for another character just kind of changes the entire context for everything that happened with his character beforehand. And even when he was trying to put the MAULER twins back in prison, but that didn't really go well, and the whole thing with the MAULER twins, you know, reviving Immortal and that also not going well for them. Nothing ever goes well for the MAULER twins, and they're always a fun just delight to see on screen every time that they show up. But this entire robot storyline really peaked in this episode. I think that's the resolution to that subplot that has been popping in and out of every episode, and I am very pleased with how that turned out. But I will say I have been loving this show, and this episode definitely did not disappoint. And this show has just been building up to a point where the finale is going to be insane. I've loved how this show has built. I want to know everything of what you guys think about this show, about this episode in particular. What do you guys think about it? Spoilers and all in the comment section. Go nuts. Tell me everything except for what happens in the comics, because I am not a comics reader. I'm seeing this all for the first time, and I'm so excited to see where this season finale ends up being. And please, for the love of God, just greenlight a season 2 already, because they still haven't done it. Prime, please greenlight a season 2, because this show is phenomenal. So thanks everyone for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, because I have a lot more reviews just like this one. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier review will be coming out, like I said, in just a couple hours here. So I'm very excited to watch that episode along with, you know, all the other reviews that I do on my channel. If you're a fan of movies, I also just watched Mortal Kombat, and I would have my review up tomorrow, but I'm having 2 reviews for this and Falcon Winter Soldier back to back, so I'm going to wait till probably like Saturday or Sunday to upload my review for Mortal Kombat, which, spoiler alert, I enjoyed it quite a bit. So thanks guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one.